We begin today the Gemara on Daf Kuf Samach Amud Beis, about 16 or 17 lines up from the bottom of the Amud, where it says Heichan. The first word on the line is L'shtares. Okay, so the Gemara here is discussing the two kinds of shtares that there are. The get pashut, there's an ordinary shtar, and that's pretty simple. You write the shtar, all the information in the paper or the parchment, and then at the bottom the Edom sign. But then there's the shtar which is tied, get mekusher, where you write a line, then you keep a line empty, you fold over, you write another line, you keep it empty, and you fold it over, and again, and then you tie it. This is the top part of the shtar. Then there is other information on the bottom of the shtar that you do not tie, and that's just the general information or the general nusach that's written in every shtar. Okay, so now, regarding the signatures of the Edom on this shtar, there's a big difference. It's not that they don't sign at the bottom of the shtar the way they do usually by a regular shtar. Okay, so it said in the Mishnah. The Mishnah says that they sign, the lashon of the Mishnah was that the Edom sign Mei Achayrov. So what's the meaning of this Mei Achayrov? Exactly where do the Edom sign? Talk to Gemara. Heichan Edom Chaismen. Where do the witnesses sign on this tied shtar? Rav Huna says Bein Kesher LeKesher. They sign between the places between where it's tied, where it's on the folds, where it's tied closed. At this point, the Gemara understands what that means is, as I mentioned, you write a line, then you keep empty, and you fold over on that, then you write an empty. So in that empty line between where you're folding over, that's where the Edom sign.
But it's in the middle. It's the middle of the shtar.
Right. It's in the middle, and it's inside. The Gemara is going to discuss everything. It's in the middle, and it's seemingly also inside the shtar.
So you don't see it.
Correct, and seemingly you don't see it either. But Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba says, Achayre Aksav. No, you sign on the back of the writing, on the other side of the paper. Ukeneged Aksav, and also in the back of it, on the other side of where the actual writing is, on the other side of the entire writing, mibachutz, on the outside of the shtar. And that's more simple, seemingly, the word me'achayrav, the Mishnah said me'achayrav, which means behind, on the back of the shtar. According to Rav Huna, me'achayrav is going to have a different piddush. Let's see what the Gemara explains here, what exactly it means according to Rav Huna. So now the Gemara will explain both of these interpretations. Now the basic question that the Gemara is going to discuss here is, okay, first let's see the taich of what Rav Huna said. Amalei Rami bar Chama Rav Chistes. Rami bar Chama says to Rav Chistes, Rav Huna da Amar ben kesher lekesher. Rav Huna that says that you sign the shtar in the folds between where you're writing, where you're tying it. So now at this point we're thinking, what does this mean? Ben kesher lekesher, between each of the time where you're tying it in the folds, migavoy, and they're signing on the inside of the shtar. But if that's the case, then what we know that the following story happened. There was this tied shtar, the ka'asel kamei de Rebbe, that was brought in front of Rebbe, and Rebbe looked at the shtar and he said, Ein zman bazeh. I don't see where the date is, what the date of this shtar is. I don't see where the date is written. Amalei Rab Shimon beRebbe. So Rab Shimon, his son, said to him, LeRebbe, to his father Rebbe, Shema ben ksharav muvla. Maybe the date is written inside where it's tied closed, inside the folds where it's tied closed. So palye v'chazye. So they ripped it open and they saw that the date is written there. That's the story that happened here. The story is a little bit difficult to understand. Rebbe did not ever see this kind of tied shtar. It's one of the kinds of shtaris that Chachamim instituted to write. So what does it mean that he didn't know where the date was? He should have known that the date is written on the inside, and then they fold it over and they tie it closed. Taisus over here explains that this was not a regular shtar makusher. It was written in a different order. It was written in a different way, and that's why Rebbe was wondering where where the date of the shtar is. Okay. Well, now the question on this is, if it's true what Rav Huna said, that where do the Edom sign? The Edom also sign inside the folds, and then it's tied closed, and you can't even see the signatures either. If so, ein zman bezev, ein Edom bezeh mibayalei. So Rebbe should have said about this, I don't see any date, and I don't see the signatures of the witnesses either, because they're also on the inside. So therefore, the Gemara now changes our understanding of what Rav Huna was saying. Amalei. So he answered back and he explained, what was Rav Huna saying? Mi savris ben kesher lekesher megavoy. Do you think that it means between the folds, but you write it in that empty space that's on the inside, and then you fold over it and you tie it closed and you can't see the signatures? No, that's not what it is. Loi ben kesher lekesher me'avroi. It's between the places where you tie in the folds, but on the outside of it, on the outside where it's visible. Yeah, so you can see the signatures. So this is the taich of me'achayrov, according to Rav Huna. It doesn't mean that you write it on the back. You write it inside the folds. It's sort of in the front, on the folds, but it's on the outside, in the place where it's visible. That's according to Rav Huna. Okay, but now here, the Gemara has another problem with this. And this is going to be the whole discussion here, actually according to both opinions, according to Rav Huna and according to Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba. When it comes to a regular shtar, where the Eidim are writing, you have the writing of the shtar on the document, and then at the bottom, the Eidim sign. There's no concern that maybe anyone can come and add information to the shtar after the Eidim sign, because the Eidim are signing at the bottom of the document. So you can't add anything. You can't come and just add whatever you want, because whatever you're going to add is going to be below the Eidim, and we know that the Eidim are all the way at the bottom. So there's no room for such a concern. But over here, the problem is, according to both of these opinions, the Eidim that sign on a shtar mekusher are not signing at the bottom of the document. They're signing either inside the folds, as the Gemara just explained, or according to Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba, in the back of on the side of the paper, on the back of it. So the question is, so on the front of the document, what is preventing anybody of coming and just adding whatever he wants in the front? And he can, if it's a shtar of alone or whatever else it is, he can come and add all kinds of things on it. What's stopping him of doing this? That's what the Gemara will discuss here now. In fact, the Gemara, we should be concerned. Dilme Zayif because of my boy. He can forge and write whatever he wants in the shtar, in the front, inside. Now the Chasimi Sadi, the Eidim are already signed. The Eidim are already signed in the folds. So now he can go and write whatever he wants. And says the Gemara, he can't do that, because according to Rav Huna, what you have to do is the chsiv bei sharer v'kayam. At the end of the whole entire shtar, you finish off with these words, sharer v'kayam, which means that this is to be, what's the exact translation? This is firm and established. Okay, so which means that after those words of sharer v'kayam, those are the last words of the shtar. So you can't add anything. Even without having the signatures at the bottom of the page, you can't write anything after those two words. But still, the nechosh, we should still be concerned. Dil mekasav my deboy, who you will add and write what he wants, and then v'hada kasav shara v'kayim machrina, and he'll write the words shara v'kayim, that this is firm and established a second time, and people will think that that's the conclusion of the shtar. That says the Gemara, no, chad shara v'kayim kasvinon, trei shara v'kayim loy kasvinon. You don't write on the shtar twice this expression of shara v'kayim, that this is firm and established. You write it once at the end. So if Bezdin will see that it's written twice, they'll understand that this person just added it. But we should still be concerned. Maybe maybe he'll erase those two words of sharer v'kayim that was written there the first time, and then the cost of my boy, and then he'll add and write what he wants, and the cost of sharer v'kayim, and then he'll finish off with those two words of sharer v'kayim. So it's still a problem. So again, by a regular shtar, we're not concerned about any of this. You just have the signatures at the bottom, so you can't add anything below those signatures. But in this shtar, you can still play around with it. So the Gemara answers, no, if he's erasing the sharer v'kayim, it's not gonna be accepted, because Rabbi Yechanan said, Tuluya mikoyemes ksheira. If you have a shtar where, let's say you wrote and you missed some information, and now you want to add something between the lines. It's like when you write, and then you write right above of the line, and you make an arrow that you want to add something in between the lines. Could you do such a thing in a legal document, in a shtar? The Gemara is saying you can add between the lines, as long as then at the bottom of the document you're going to write that. The Rashbam here says you have to write at the bottom, Teva Ploin is the Beni Chuti Sharer v'Kayim. You have to add at the bottom that the fact that it was written above this between the line is not someone that added it later. You have to write clearly that Sharer v'Kayim, that it's like today. Sometimes when you write in legal documents and you want to add something, so you write you initial it, so it should be clear that you added it. So you're allowed. You can write between the lines as long as you confirm that you added that at the bottom of the document. You confirm it. So that's kosher. Now, machak, if you're erasing something in a document, pasul. That's going to be pasul. Even if you're going to write at the bottom of the document that we erased and added this, it's still going to be pasul. You can't erase, and then even if you confirm that you erased, it's not going to be good. Now, the Gemara explains when is that. Regarding what is erasing in a shtar a problem. Now, omru machak pasul, erasing, and even if you confirm that you erased, that's still going to be a problem. That's only if we can see that the place where it was erased is in that place where those words of sharer v'kayim should have been written. And also, what does that mean? What does that mean in the place where you see Shara V'Kayim should have been written? A shtar usually has a certain nusach of how it's written. You write, let's say, if you're writing a shtar with a document of a sale. So you write that so-and-so sold this and this property, and he made this and this kinyan in this way. And usually it's after a certain nusach that you write. That's where the word Shara V'Kayim belongs. And if you see over there in that area that it doesn't say Shara V'Kayim after that nusach, and then there's more information, and then there's Shara V'Kayim in the end, you can see that Shara V'Kayim was erased over there. So then it's an issue. That area where the Shara V'Kayim is, if it's erased. And also, Ukishir Shara V'Kayim. If the amount that's erased, you see that what was erased is that amount that it takes to write those two words Shara V'Kayim, so then you know that someone played around with this. That the Shara V'Kayim was already there, he took it out, and he wrote additional information, and he wrote Shara V'Kayim at the end. So therefore, Bezdin will know not to accept that shtar. So therefore, the point is that we're not concerned, even if the Edom are signing in the folds, and they're not signing at the bottom, since we write Shara V'Kayim, and if we erase Shara V'Kayim, we'll see that he erased it, and it's going to be a pasal shtar, even if he wrote in the bottom, again, Shara V'Kayim, so therefore, it's okay to sign this way.
So you can erase it and then put back Shara V'Kayim.
No, but the bed you could see. If it's erased, you can tell. You can tell on a shtar that it was erased.
In which case is it okay? Is it
you could only erase what? You could only erase something in a shtar if it's not those words Shara V'Kayim. If Bezin sees that it's in that area where the Shara V'Kayim should have been written, and they see that the amount that's erased is the amount of Shara V'Kayim, it will not be accepted. So therefore, it's not an issue. Okay, now Rabbi Yirmiyah. What did Rabbi Yirmiyah say? Where do you sign the shtar? You sign it in the back. Okay, now according to Rabbi Yirmiyah, there's another solution here to this problem, as Gemara will explain. Now, Rabbi Yirmiyah Baba says that where did the Edom sign? In the back of the writing. And they sign on the other side of the entire writing, on the outside. So lechosh, we should also here be concerned. So what did we say? That the Edom sign keneged the ksav. In that part of the document where there's writing, that's where the Edom sign. But why shouldn't we be concerned? Lechosh do kosev megavoy maidaboy. He'll write inside the shtar. He'll add more lines, and he'll write whatever he wants. And then umachtem sadi yiseri mavroy, and he's going to add additional signatures on the other side, on the other side of the shtar. And he's going to say, "Ano l'rabbeis be'edem udavdi." I want to have more Edom signed on this shtar. As we learned already in the Mishnah, this shtar makusha has more than 2 Edom. It has at least 3 Edom, and it can have even more. It can have, for every line that you write inside the shtar, on the back of that line, a Edom sign in it. The way the Gemara understands now it works is that it's you have a line in the front, and then right behind that line, you also sign a aid on that line, and then the next line another aid, the next line another aid. So what's preventing him of adding additional lines and just signing additional aidim on those additional lines that he added? The Rashbam here says, if we would just say what the Gemara said before, that you write Shara V'Kayim, and as the Gemara explained, you can't erase it, so then it wouldn't be an issue. We already answered that according to Rav Huna. But according to Rav Yirmiyah Ba'aba, you don't have to write Shara V'Kayim. Even without writing that, the Gemara is going to explain that he's not going to be able to add more information. Amalei, so he answered him and explained that according to Rabbi Yirmiyah Ba'aba, how do the Edom sign on the back of the document? Mi savris Edom kisidron chasimi. Do you think that the Edom sign on the same line, exactly opposite of the paper, but right on this very same line where you wrote? And so, just like when you write on a paper, you write how? You write on the width of the paper, from right to left or from left to right. And then you have the Edom signing the same way, also on the other side of the paper, also on the width. No, that's not how they sign. Edom mimato l'maylo chasimi. The way the Edom sign the document is, they're going from the bottom of the paper up, meaning that they're signing in the length of the document. You're writing like on a regular paper where you write across in the width of it, from right to left or left to right. The Edom are signing from the bottom of the document going up. That's how they're signing on it. Okay, so therefore, in such a case, it's not a problem that he's going to come and add more to the shtar, right? So, according as we'll see from the continuation of the Gemara, so you have at least 3 Edom that are signing on this document. So, at least one of the Edom are going to have to sign their signature starting from where the end of the writing was. Right? He writes in this document up to a certain point, and then you turn over the paper, and the first aide starts signing his name from the bottom of where the end of the writing was, signing upwards, right, going up in the length of the document. Right? Yeah, they have the picture over there in the art scroll. Yeah, okay. And then the other two aidim don't have to start all the way from the bottom; they can sign already further up, but they're also signing going up. So because they're signing their name from the bottom, all the way from the bottom of the writing, that's until where the writing is. Further than that, you're not going to be able to add anything below that. If there's going to be any added writing on the other side of the paper below that, so then that you're going to know that he added it below where the signatures of the Eidim begin. Right? The Mefarshim say, how about if the Eidim started signing from a certain point where the end of the writing was, and then he wants to add more writing on the other side of the page, and then he's going to sign another aid further down on that same line. You can't do that. On each line, there's only one aid that signs. So he's not going to be able to add more writing and then sign another aid on that very same line further down below, because they're parallel. You have to sign the aid in parallel in the length of the shtar, but not one below the other. Okay, so the point here is, because the aidim are not signing across in the width of the shtar, corresponding to the lines that you write across on the other side of the paper, they're signing in the length of it, and at least the first aid starts at the end of the writing. So that's it. That at the end of the writing, that's till where you can write, and you won't be able to write anything further down than that. But not the Gemara asks actually that there could be an opposite problem here. Why wouldn't we be concerned? Maybe the one that's holding this document will have some information that's there towards the bottom of the document that's something that is a loss for him. He doesn't want that information there. Let's say it's a document of a loan, and at the bottom of the shtar it says that the borrower paid you already half of this loan. And you want to cut off that last line. So now, in such a case, the guy is he's going to cut off the last line. Now, what's going to happen in such a case is, if he's cutting off the last line, he's cutting off part of the signature of the aid. The guy is Reuven Bahadei, and he's going to cut off the name Reuven that's written there on the other side of the paper with cutting off this line. But he's still going to try to use this shtar, because of Miskashe Ben Yaakov. If this person's name is Reuven Ben Yaakov, so he starts signing his name Reuven, and the name Reuven is on the opposite side of one line that he wrote, and then the Ben Yaakov is already further up on the line above, so he can cut off one line. He's going to cut off that name Reuven, and then what happens is he still has Ben Yaakov. Now that Ben Yaakov aid could still be used as a kosher signature, because it's not. It says in the Mishnah, Ben Ish Pleni Aid kosher. If you sign a shtar just writing Ben Ish Pleni, you don't even write your name, that could be a kosher signature. So it's still a concern in signing in this way from the bottom up on the other side of the paper that he can cut off a part of this. And says the Gemara, no, in order to make sure this doesn't happen, what we do is, T'chsev Reuven Ben B'chad Dara, he writes Reuven and the word Ben as well on the other side of the paper of one line, meaning so now if you're going to want to cut off that one line, you're going to end up cutting off not only the name Reuven, you're going to end up cutting off Reuven and the word Ben as well. And then V'Yaakov Eid Ilavei, and then his father's name Yaakov you write on the line above it. So then he can't cut off that one line. So all you're going to have left is Yaakov Eid. Yaakov Eid is not his name. That's not a good signature. But the Gemara asks, it's still a problem. V'leichish, why wouldn't we be concerned? Dil megayz le'Reuven Ben. Maybe he's going to cut off the two words of Reuven and the word Ben as well. U'miskasher b'Yaakov Eid. And it actually would still be a kosher signature, even just with Yaakov Eid. It's going to look like that who signed it, not Reuven. It's going to look like the one that signed it was Yaakov. And it says Yaakov Eid. Even though you're supposed to write, when you sign a document, you sign a ksuba, you're supposed to write your name, your father's name, and then you add the word aid. But now here the Gemara brings, even if you just write your name with the word aid, that's enough of a signature. The Tanan, the Mishnah also says, this is the Mishnah in Gittin, Ish Pleni Aid Kosher. That if you just write your name and you add the word aid, that's kosher. You don't have to have Reuven Ben Yaakov. So over here, just Yaakov aid would be kosher. So you can still cut off. And it says the Gemara, Deloi Ksiv Aid. That they instituted, Chachamim instituted regarding a shtar mekusher that you don't add the word aid when you sign your name. So if you don't add the word aid, just the word Yaakov itself, writing your name Yaakov, if you're not writing Reuven ben Yaakov, just Yaakov itself without the word aid is not a kosher signature. You either have to have Reuven ben Yaakov or Yaakov aid, but just one name alone without aid or without the father and son's name is not going to be kosher. So therefore, if he cuts off Reuven ben, it's going to be left just with Yaakov, so it's not going to be kosher. For Yibai Sema, or another answer, Lo Elam B'Kosav aid. Really, he does write the word aid, Yaakov aid, but why isn't there a concern that that might be then used as he'll cut off and he'll use just Yaakov aid as a eidus? Because the Yadina ba, the ha, chsimis yada, lav, the Yaakovu. Because we can tell that this is not Yaakov's signature. Who's the one that really signed this? Reuven is the one that signed this. He originally signed Reuven ben Yaakov aid. Now the one that's holding the star went and cut off the bottom line, and now he's left just with Yaakov aid, and he wants to present it as if Yaakov is the one that signed it. But we know, we'll bring people that recognize signatures, and they have to verify the star, and they'll see that this is not Yaakov's signature. So we know that it's not Yaakov's signature. So you can't do this. You can't cut off Reuven ben. Frek the Gemara, but even in such a case, maybe what this person can come and say is, V'dilme b'shmei da'avua chasam. Maybe a person, he signs his name. How does he sign his name? A person doesn't necessarily have to sign his name by his name. He signs his name using his father's name. Maybe he wants to give his father honor. B'chla, when a person signs Reuven ben Yaakov, it's a part of honoring your father. So over here, he doesn't sign by his own name. He signs by his father's name. So when they're going to come and see that this is not Yaakov's handwriting, it's not Yaakov's signature, it's Reuven's signature, Reuven signs with his father's name, Yaakov. So he can still cut off the bottom and use this signature. So the Gemara says, no, it's not the derech. A person doesn't sign this way. A person does not leave his own name and sign with his father's name. It's not. A person doesn't do such a thing. So therefore, it's not a concern that this could be used. Like the Gemara, but even if it's not something that people do because they don't sign with their father's name. But maybe not as a name, maybe not as an identification of a name, but Vidilma Simona Ba'almuhu Deshavye. Maybe Yaakov, even if it's not as his father's name, but maybe he just writes that name just as a symbol, sort of a symbol of his name. The Gemara here is going to bring that we see that a signature doesn't even have to necessarily be your name, it doesn't even have to be any name. It could be just a symbol. So maybe Reuven is signing with the name Yaakov, not because he wants to sign with his father's name, but maybe you'll come and claim that this is the symbol of how Reuven signs. And the Gemara brings a source for this. The Rav Tzar Kapra. When Rav would sign his name, he would make a picture of a fish. Rab Chanina Tzar Cherusa. Rab Chanina would sign and he would make a picture of a branch of a palm tree. Rav Chiste Samach. Rav Chiste wouldn't sign his name, but he has the Samach in his name, so he would just make the letter Samach. Rav Hoshia Ayin. He would just sign from the Ayin of his name. Rav Baravona Makusa. Rav Baravona would sign with the picture of the mast of a ship. So maybe we could say that just Yaakov is just a symbol, then it's his signature. Says the Gemara, no, that's also something not to be concerned about, because loy chotze finish l'shavye l'shmei da'avua simona. A person doesn't have the chutzpah to go and use his father's name just as a symbol for his own signature. That's you can person. Rashbamir says that these Amiroim would sign their name with these different symbols because they had a connection to this. Rav regarding the meal that he would eat, fish or whatever it is. But for the person to go and use his father's name as a symbol, that a person does not do. Therefore, we're not concerned about this. Okay, now the Gemara concludes this and brings another shitta here to answer the questions we had, that the person can cut off or the person can add to the writing if you're signing it on the back, according to Rabbi Yirmiyah Ba'abe. Mazutra says, Lo malach kulahai. Why are you going through all this entire discussion here to explain why he can't add or why he can't cut off from the shtar? Kol mekusha she'ein eid of kolim b'shita achas pasol. This shtar mekusha that we just said, that you sign on the back. And so Mazutra is basing what he's saying on what we already explained before. When you sign the shtar mekusha, how is it signed? On the back, but it's not signed one line on the back of the line, also going in the width of the document. It's signed in the length of the document, right? But before, what we said is that it's only the first aid that begins his signature all the way at the bottom of the writing. But the other signatures, they also sign in the length, but they sign further up. They don't necessarily begin their signature at the bottom of the writing. Mazutra says when the three Eidim have to sign on the back of the document in the length, they all have to begin at the bottom. They all have to begin their signature all the way at the bottom of the page at the same place. Not just one of them, as you have it here in the picture in the art scroll. Okay, so in such a case, what Mazutra is saying is there's no concern that you can write below it. That's already what we explained before, because wherever those signatures begin, that's where the writing has to end. You can't add anything below that. And also, there's no concern that you're going to cut off. Why? Because what we asked before is you can cut off Reuven, and then all you're going to have is Ben Yaakov. If you're going to cut off all the signatures, and all the signatures are going to be that way, Ben Yaakov, Ben Chaim, Ben Shimon, the Beis Din is going to look at this and say, interesting, all these Eidim are only signing by Ben Yaakov, and none of them wanted to sign with their own name. What's going on over here? So the fact that you're cutting them off and you have to cut off all the signatures in this way is going to be suspicious, and therefore there's no concern that you cut it off. This is one of the pshatim of this Indian, the way the Marsha, the Mafarshim explained the Rashbam of this. There's other Pirushim as well, but this is what Mazuta says. They all sign it this way, and therefore there's no concern.